And a BC court has ruled against the city of Vancouver in its attempt to crack down on a business. This all started back in 2022 when a city inspector went to the Medicinal Mushroom Dispensary, concluded it was selling substances containing psilocybin. In the recent decision, the director of the business was found guilty of a bylaw offense, but the judge said that the city failed to establish that the business sold or offered to sell products containing psilocybin. That's the psychoactive compound found in magic mushrooms. So for more on this, we have the spokesperson for the Medicinal Mushroom Dispensary, Dana Larsen, with us here in studio. Hello there and good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so what kinds of products do you sell at this dispensary? Do they contain psilocybin?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we sell psychedelic mushrooms, 20 different strains with a lot of therapeutic and social benefits. But we sell other psychedelics too. We sell LSD and DMT, and we sell plants like kratom and coca leaf and a lot of other things like that as well.
So what was it that prevented the city inspector from proving that your business sold products containing psilocybin? You're talking about it openly right now. Why couldn't they pin you down on that?
It does seem kind of ridiculous, right? We got a big sign outside, Mushroom Dispensary, listing our products for sale, but the inspector isn't authorized to purchase allegedly illegal substances or to have those things tested. He doesn't have the legal right to do that, and so they failed to prove that in court. It's kind of a technical victory, but we'll take any kind of victory we can get.
Who has the legal right to do that?
Well, the police have the legal right to do that. They did raid us last year, in quite a big raid in November, and they haven't laid any charges or conditions on us at all. They keep still saying we're going to recommend charges, but it's been almost a year now. You'd think if it was a high priority, they would have come after us sooner than that.
Well, Dana, you were one of the early people to push the limits on cannabis as well, cannabis sales, long before it was legalized in the country as well. What do you think is at the heart of this case that the city mounted against the dispensary?
Well, I think we're going to see the same thing that we saw with cannabis dispensaries. There was some pushback, but ultimately the city of Vancouver and many other cities were issuing licenses for these kind of shops long before legalization came in. I think one of the reasons the police haven't laid any charges or the prosecutors haven't laid any charges on us is because they know we'll probably win in court. We have a lot of arguments about the medicinal value of these products. A lot of people benefit from them, just like it was with cannabis. And I suspect if we did go to court, we'd end up going to the Supreme Court and opening things up for other patients in other places. And I'll also note there's at least 20 other mushroom dispensaries in the city doing the same kind of thing. We're the only one that's been raided or faced any kind of enforcement like that from the police. And I think that we're going to be here longer than the current city council is.
Well, you're talking about the potential benefits of taking these mushroom compounds. When it came to cannabis, there was some kind of a consultation required before you could actually sell the product. Anything like that exist in your dispensaries? Well,
that's not actually accurate. I mean, in the early days of the cannabis dispensaries, people did have a stronger, or these shops had a stronger medicinal requirement. And then as time went on, that opened up more and more. Same kind of thing with us. We've been open since 2020. And by the way, the city renewed our business license every single year until this one. They knew exactly what we were doing, and they renewed our license over and over and over again. But no, we don't require anything other than that you're an adult. We do make everybody sign a form saying they're going to use these products responsibly. They're not going to resell them. They're not going to drive or do anything irresponsible like that.
You sign a form every single time, or you sign a form and then we've got it on file?
They keep it. They have a membership card that they sign, which has this information on it, and they need to bring that in, or else they got to sign a new one if they come back and want to make another purchase.
Okay, but what are the guidelines here? Are there any guidelines? Are there any dangers or potential dangers to using these products?
Well, the dangers are more in the irresponsible use. The products themselves are pretty safe, and certainly safer than things like alcohol and tobacco and other things which are sold regularly to adults with no membership requirements or any kind of warnings like that. We don't even put warning labels on alcohol in this country, and we provide detailed user guides. We have warnings. We have instructions on how to use these things to have the maximum benefit and the minimum risk. But the risks are more if you decided to take mushrooms and then go driving or swimming or do something irresponsible like that. But in and of themselves, these are very, very safe substances that have very minimal risks and really significant benefits.
So why do you think they're still illegal?
Well, I think the whole war on drugs is really a failed policy that's based on ignorance and bigotry of another time. Laws passed, some of these laws date 100 years ago, but there was never any scientific research or any real social reason to ban any of these things. It was about a culture war. It was about oppressing and pushing down anti-war activists and other groups when these laws came in. And I think it's time for us to close the book and turn the page, not just on the prohibition on psychedelics, but really the whole war on drugs. But certainly cannabis and psychedelics are the place to start, and I think that we're going to see a very similar path with our psychedelic and mushroom shops as we saw with cannabis dispensaries, and we were vindicated with cannabis. It was legalized. I don't see too many Canadians wanting to go back to the prohibition on cannabis, and I think we're going to see the same thing with these kind of products as well.
How big of a moneymaker is this dispensary business with the psilocybin?
Well, we're pretty busy. We have a lot of customers, and we're not the only one in the city. And of course, we use most of our revenues to fund a project called Get Your Drugs Tested, which is the world's busiest free drop-in street drug analysis center here in Vancouver. We're doing most of the free drug testing here in British Columbia. Anybody can come in, get any substance tested, find out if there's fentanyl in it, find out what they've got. For me, I'm very idealistic. This is an idealistic project. We make money, absolutely. We're busy. We sell things for a profit. We are a nonprofit society, but we redirect that money that we make into projects that Get Your Drugs Tested, into political lobbying, and into supporting other groups that are fighting to change the laws.
You're a nonprofit, so how does the taxation work if these are illegal substances?
We pay GST and PST where appropriate, and all of our staff are registered. They're all paying income taxes, as do myself. We do everything we can to comply with all of the laws, other than the laws around actually selling and providing these substances.
So the city, from what we understand, is looking at appealing this latest ruling. How concerned are you about that?
I'm not really that concerned about that. Even if we lose, what we're really talking about is paying a fine, right? We're not talking about anybody's liberty being at risk. If we get criminal charges laid, something could happen there. But in terms of the city, I would rather they leave us alone. They should license us. And ultimately, they're going to license us at some point. Whether it's this city council or the next one or the one after, they're going to start licensing these shops because it's the only reasonable path to go. We saw this play out with cannabis dispensaries. It's going to be exactly the same this time around.
So where we're sitting right now, does your dispensary have a business permit? It wasn't renewed last year.
It wasn't renewed for this year, so I guess we don't have one. We have two locations, and the other location on Broadway, the City Council ordered the Chief License Inspector to return our business license, as you might recall, a few months ago. She has refused to do that and says, I'm not going to give you your license back, even though City Council's ordered her to do that. So they're kind of going rogue on this. I don't really understand the reluctance. They should be doing what City Council tells them to do. But as of today, we do not have a business license, but we would sure welcome one.
Well, what have people told you about sort of the effect that these products have had on their lives by having this kind of access to psilocybin?
People come into our shops every single day and they tell us how access to these products has transformed their lives in positive ways. People that are dealing sometimes with very severe issues like PTSD or trauma or depression, issues like that. Also, a lot of people who have problematic drug use explain that microdosing and using psychedelics helps them to reduce or eliminate use of other more dangerous substances. And in a city and a time when overdose deaths and drug poisonings are at a really high crisis level, people talk about we need treatment all the time. Well, this is one of those kinds of treatment that can help people make better decisions about their substance use, and yet we're prohibiting this as well. So there's a lot of problems with these policies.
So just give me your business landscape right now. You've got two mushroom dispensaries?
That's right. We had three. One of them, the city bought the building and then told our landlord they wouldn't complete the sale unless we were evicted first. So now we have two locations left.
And where are you at with cannabis?
I also, separately, a separate project, but we still have the last two unlicensed cannabis dispensaries in the city as well. We still have a medicinal focus on our cannabis, not the recreational focus of the legal cannabis that's available. And we're not as busy as we used to be, but as long as we're still needed, we'll continue providing medicinal cannabis to people as well.
Well, unlicensed. Why do you do this?
I've been doing this since I was 18 years old. I began writing letters to the government complaining about the war on drugs and looking to end it. Now it's like 35 years later. I'm still working on this. This has become a mission for me, a path in my life. And I feel I'm kind of uniquely positioned because of my history and who I am and where I am in this city that this is something I'm able to do and to push forward. And I think there's a lot of important issues in the world, but ending the war on drugs, this global pogrom against drug users, it needs to end. And I've devoted my life to it, and I'm not going to give up until we succeed. succeed.
But you've had some knocks along the way.
I have had some knocks, but I've also had a lot of victories, and we managed to get cannabis legalized, which changed, I think, Canada in a lot of ways, and also provides an example for other countries around the world as well. What we do here in Vancouver echoes across Canada, and what Canada does echoes around the world. And this is a life mission. I believe I'm doing the right thing, and I'm helping people. And the folks that come into my store every day, they tell me, "Thank you, Dana, for what you're doing. We appreciate it. You've changed my life. Keep doing what you're doing." And I take that to heart.
Okay, we'll keep our eye on what happens with the City of Vancouver if it appeals this latest ruling by the courts. Dana, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
That's Dana Larsen, spokesperson for the Medicinal Mushroom Dispensary.